Welcome back to Spotlight on Civil Contracting. I'm your host, Greg Ward. Last week we spoke with Mark Dorbin and Colin Vetty of Schick Civil Construction. We talked around their business and also the Victoria on the River development, for which they won an award at the Highpool CCNZ Awards for Excellence in 2018. We're very much at the moment looking forward to speaking with the Business Development Manager of Higgins, one of New Zealand's largest contracting companies. He's with me here in the studio. I'd like to say a very warm welcome to Mike Mannion.
Yeah,
Great to have you, Mike.
G'day, Greg. Nice to be here.
So let's just talk around Higgins. It is one of the largest companies here in New Zealand. So tell me a little bit about the scope and the focus of the organisation.
Higgins mainly focuses on roads. We're one of the largest roading contractors in the country, and we do probably three main types of work. We do the large construction on some of the larger RONS projects. We're working up at Puhoi to work with at the moment in part of that major PPP. We're working down at Hamilton in alliance with Fletcher's, Becker, NZTA and others on the City Edge Alliance, which is about 24 kilometres of new motorway to bypass Hamilton. And we go from those large projects. We've got a maintenance group that I'm involved with, which currently does about $200 million worth of maintenance contracting across for both NZTA in New Zealand. We do a lot of local council work, and also we're over in Fiji working for the Fijian Roads Authority, which we've been there for going on 6 years.
Rightio, so obviously not just in New Zealand but international as well.
International, including Fiji, yes.
Excellent. Any aspiration to further that field?
We look at it, and I think if the right opportunity came up, but we don't want to go into somebody else's market and just to be there. We also, for Higgins, the focus is on not trying to be the biggest. We just want to be the best. So we'd much rather be great where we are, doing what we're doing, looking after current clients, and also looking after our people as well. We've seen organisations stretch, become too big and fall over, like not look after their people, not look after core business back home, and run into problems. Well, I suppose that's not what we're about. We're a bit more of a conservative organisation than others who have been here and may not be here at the moment.
Yeah. So, Mike, being a large company with over 1,800 staff, you're in a position to be able to jump around New Zealand when the situation dictates. Can you give us an example of these situations?
Well, there's a couple that come to mind. One was when Kaikoura went off on 14th of November 2016. We were there on the phone to NZTA saying, look, we've got people down, ready, management team available, because we'd just been through a major bid and got a really solid management team in place. We said, okay, we've got these people there available, how can we help? Let us know. And we're involved. But then when we got into Kaikoura and just the pace of that thing, the scale, the need to gear up to go and get a road, get Kaikoura connected, get South Island business working again, we just poured as many people as we could into that from around our other operations and other contacts which we had to go and get people down there. And I think early days, or as they set up the project, Higgins had the largest contribution to the management team to get the project up and going.
There was an earthquake at 2 past midnight on the 14th of November in 2016. This earthquake was a magnitude 7.8, located about 15 kilometres inland from Cheviot, the top half of the South Island of New Zealand. As a result of that earthquake, we had a number of landslides that came down across both the main North Line, the railway line, and also State Highway 1, the main arterial for the South Island. There were about 30 odd slips south of Kaikoura that severed the road and rail, and there was a similar number in the north of Kaikoura in the coastal section that severed the road and the rail there as well.
But then a year and a bit later, the same thing happened on a lot smaller scale, obviously, on the Thames coast, where 5th of January we had a major storm and a combination of a big storm event on top of a king tide. The waves were breaking over the highway and literally washing it away, cutting off and isolating both the communities that live there, but also all the holiday makers that are on the Coromandel at that time of year. They were cut off, they were isolated. We were able to get in there that afternoon and start clearing the roads, starting to try and restore access. And within 2 days, we actually had people flowing, albeit under a convoy situation that caused delays. We got stuff starting to move. Took a long while to go and rebuild the coast after that, like another 6 months. But we were able to get people moving. And I suppose they're the types of things of actually being able to help people out and using your engineering skills, talents, people in the trucks, diggers, whatever, using those sort of technical skills actually for a broader community benefit, which makes it exciting for us, great to be a part of.
Fantastic work from the teams in Thames. But jumping back to Kaikoura, this was a world-class response to the point where the Institution of Civil Engineers in London awarded the People's Choice Award to the Kaikoura rebuild. I mean, how good is that?
That was something really, when you look at what is the best, or what do people say is the best civil engineering project of 2017, what is the best one? And it was coming from little old New Zealand, the way people banded together and the efforts that were put in, and it was tough work for a lot of people. I mean, there were thousands of people involved in that project, sometimes working in very difficult conditions. And the interesting thing, it was the four major contractors from New Zealand, which was, ourselves, Higgins. We had Heb Construction there, we had Fulton Hogan there, and Downer, all working together. People who normally compete working together because the social need was greater than that the individual competition that normally applies across the industry.
I have to say congratulations, Mike. That is a fantastic result. And I think it's really important for our viewership to know this was a worldwide competition. The event was held in London. Higgins and the team were up against 5 other competitors, and this particular project was chosen out of all of the world. It's a phenomenal result here for Higgins and for New Zealand.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. But it wasn't just Higgins. There were a lot of other companies involved. Our other alliance partners, the Heb, the Fulton Hogan, the Downer, NZTA, and Kiwi Rail. This unique grouping of all working together is what really made it success. We're just thankful that we were able to be a part of such a successful project.
Tell us a little bit about the history of Higgins. How did Higgins start?
Higgins started out with an Irish immigrant, Dan Higgins, wanted to go and thought he could make money laying drainage pipes, and he bought a digger. And from that, he got one of his sons involved, and gradually grew this business with contracting, moved to the Manawatu, and then just gradually grew a business right from the bottom up. 3 sons, and they sort of all working together in a family business, working hard. And I suppose it's that Irish work ethic. If you work hard, you'll go and get ahead. And we've built the company slowly on that. Yes, there's been some acquisitions of some other companies contractors along the way, and building up until recently, very heavily focused in the Manawatu region. I mean, when you go and look at the Turbos rugby team, whose name is on their chest, it's Higgins, and we're still very strongly connected with that is home base for us. But since those, in recent years, we've been branching out. I mean, in the early 2000s, we moved and opened an asphalt plant and a branch in Auckland, and from there we just that moves us into one of the largest markets or infrastructure markets in the country. So we're up here now. We branched down in the at about 2015 down to Christchurch, set up a branch, built an asphalt plant down there. But we are great coverage now across the country. And again, 6 years ago, we're also able to, we won a contract in Fiji on the back of some great work which we'd done in New Zealand, and we're able to go and set up and establish a large maintenance contract, and there we start winning other construction projects in Fiji as well. But with that, it's not the machinery, it's not the depth of your balance sheet that actually build a business. It's the people and their passion, the way they work together, their drive. That's what actually makes this successful. Anybody can go down the road to Cable Price and get some diggers, but it's who you put in them and their ethos as they operate that machinery, the way the jobs are planned. That's the importance of people to this industry.
So Dan, he's an Irish immigrant, he arrives into New Zealand, it's 1955 and he starts a company. It's 2018 today. Can somebody still do that? Is it still possible to be done?
I think it is. I think it'd probably be harder than it was, but maybe there are lines of credit now. There was not a like the plant hire, plant leasing things that you have these days to go and do that. I think so it'd probably be lower capital to get into and start this. But I think New Zealand is a place where hard workers can go and get ahead if they're prepared to just work hard. It's an open tendering systems which people have. There's transparent systems. If people are good enough, they're prepared to work hard enough, you can go and bid for work, win work, and gradually build the build a successful business. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will just happen. Again, if you look at Higgins, success doesn't happen overnight. I mean, Higgins has been around for over 60 years, so this success, we just don't snap your fingers and have a contracting business. You work hard, you grow, you win more contracts. Importantly, you do work well and you employ well, so the people are loyal to you, want to stay. And if you look after the people, your people will then look after your customers and work will grow. But it's slow, but I believe it is still possible. So there'll be small companies today who will be major corporations in 60 years' time.
We talked earlier, well, you spoke earlier about coming from Australia. I'd love to hear more of your background. How did you end up here in this position as BDM for Higgins?
So it's about 20 years ago, almost exactly 20 years ago, the company that I was with in those days won a large maintenance contract in New Zealand, and I was told to sort of, I was named in the tender, so Mike, can you go over there for 2 years? So that was 20 years ago. In that time, they figured out they'd promised the client I would be there for longer, so I had to stay longer. Before you know it, my kids were well embedded in school and they couldn't go. My wife had a great job at Waikato Hospital. So from there, I just got into the Kiwi lifestyle and really enjoying it, loving the basic integrity that is in New Zealand, that care and that ability, which you touched on earlier, about being able to work together.
So Mike, if this job hadn't come up, would you have ever come to New Zealand? What did you know about New Zealand to start with?
I came to New Zealand a couple of times in the late 70s, early 80s to go climbing in the South Island. Loved the place, loved the feel of it. So that was interest there, but it was only just as that tourist thing. So I hadn't really considered coming over till that role came up. And I thought, look, this is a really great place. Moving from Sydney, massive metropolis, over to a sort of a rural lifestyle. I thought, fantastic, let's go and do that for a couple of years. So if it hadn't come up, no, we'd still be probably living in the suburbs of Sydney, battling traffic and pollution and watching a rugby team that doesn't do that well.
Thank you very much for saying that. It's always a lovely thing to hear. Well, I want to just jump back. What made you go into contracting in the first place?
Contracting, it was, I originally started out as a surveyor with the government over in Australia and went on my OE, came back, and the first job that I saw when I landed was with a contractor. So it was just by accident, first job, just started in there doing surveying on a major earthworks job in Sydney, and then from there just grew. I actually got into maintenance contracting because I thought I want a job where I could just stay close to home, knew where I was, rather than going job to job, but a nice job close to home. I was there 3 years and then was moved over here.
So being based in the Manawatu, directly there as the head office for Higgins, you must obviously think about the gorge significantly. Do you have an opinion on how best we can ensure that the continuing use of that road through the gorge?
I think the new alignment which NZTA is developing across the northern side of the gorge is the best solution. Basically, after Kaikoura happened, although this is a geological advice, that after Kaikoura happened, that whole mountain range basically broke and shifted, that we've had surveyors in there and there's measurement that rock, the whole rock is continuing to move, the rock mass is continuing to move there. So the reopening along the riverside where the current route is just no longer an option. We were down there 2012, cleared a major slip and we thought stabilised and we thought that's great, we've fixed the gorge. But then this other event where it came down and then it was keeping on coming and the risk to reopening was too great that a new alignment has to be found. So the agency's done a lot of work through there, pushing that through the wind farm on the north side there, and my understanding is that that's out. There's going through a procurement process on that at the moment, and it will be with choices, with a selection process, and getting in to get that built as quickly as possible. But it is going to be a major project for the region.
So you mentioned wind farm. I mean, tell us a bit about the experience that Higgins have had with what is a very visible project for New Zealanders.
Absolutely. Well, wind, it's a great form of energy. It's free, it's cheap, and it's just there forever. So it's a great, great energy source for New Zealand. So we've been involved in a number of wind farms across the country. Again, if you look at Manawatu, you think of turbos. Well, those turbos are on the hills, and for our perspective, they're just difficult roading projects to go, and all of those need roads, access trails to get all of the equipment, all those large pieces up there. I mean, with those nacelles on top of those towers are the size of a bus. That sort of houses a generator. So these need big roads for the large cranes to take all this heavy equipment up to. So they were basically for us large, complex roading projects with big foundations at the top. Then other people with the expertise come in and install the towers, the generators, and wire the whole thing up.
Mike, you see the cranes out there on the Auckland horizon. Is this a good time for contracting? Is this the best time for contracting?
It's a good time for contracting, but the reality is more work means pressure on available resources. So the resources go up, especially for good resources. So the price, our input pricing goes high as well. And also those natural competition of our these other New Zealand contractors, they keep the pricing pretty honest in the market as well. So there's no gold mines out there. It's just hard work. But yes, we're all still alive at the moment.
So Mike, if you had a magic wand and you could just wave it and change one thing within the industry, what would that be?
I don't think that it's a magic wand approach. This is an industry which has a lot of consultation and inputs and whatever. It's also very much self-healing, self-regulating if something goes wrong, because where a magic wand should apply. The industry basically identifies that and fix it. We find a better way. There are enough review things that happen, panels that come in if something's not working. They are fixed, and it might take time, but these things are fixed. The whole reform in the maintenance sector that's been a long process. The NOC, the Network Outcome Contracts, have been a part of that. So it wasn't a magic wand to fix maintenance. It was a very slow process to go and get there. But that's the way the industry works. If something's not working properly, the industry, working with clients such as NZTA and other arms of government, will work together to go and get that fixed. So it's just a gradual approach, but it delivers great outcomes.
So using a consultative approach makes the differences within the industry.
Absolutely. If parties, and that's a good thing about the New Zealand industry, is parties go and work together, great collaboration out of Wellington to go and see what's happening and try and get a solution which is adding value to government and ultimately taxpayers, but also that people can actually deliver from the contracting side. We can't work separately. The place is so small, we actually have to work together. It's like multiple parties in a waka, we all need to be paddling together.
That's a beautiful analogy. Very beautiful analogy.
I'm an Australian too.
As a large organisation here in New Zealand, you're a significant contributor to CCNZ. How do you see the relationship between Higgins and CCNZ?
CCNZ is an important organisation. I think it provides a platform where people who normally compete can actually find the areas of commonality. We can try and improve things such as the standard conditions of contract that are used, a good voice for the industry. And then what is also important is through their awards, they do go and get people to consider excellence in delivery. I mean, contractors aren't just about making money. They also, people have, and our employees aspire to excellence. So through the awards program, they get people thinking, okay, what does excellence look like? They encourage that. Now, when people are motivated to deliver excellence, then they'll actually start doing it. And there's a lot of excellence which is happening out across the industry as a result of the inspiration that the awards program provides.
How important are the awards for Higgins? How much emphasis do you place on them?
They're very important to us because they're that inspiration. I said earlier, we want to be the best, not the biggest. So this is a way of recognising when we achieve the best. And it's really a great motivator for the teams and the individuals involved to go and say, yes, I am better than these others. My work, my effort. And in this industry, there's a lot of effort that is just unseen. That some of these efforts are actually recognised by my peers and by the reviewers as well. we have made, people can recognise that we have made a difference. And as people, that's what we want to do. We want to make a difference. These awards go and recognise that across a number of different areas, be it large construction, be it the individuals that we talked about, or smaller construction as well, so that smaller companies can go and have a crack and say, look, I'm really good. And there's been some wonderful stories in that of smaller companies coming through. And now recently they've added maintenance to that. And I remember the pride from our Hawke's Bay team, just won the regional awards for maintenance. They were so pleased that their efforts had been recognised. So rewards is just another way of recognising the effort that people put into this industry.
You've hit the nail right on the head when it comes down to the reason behind awards. And as an organisation, Higgins have a slew of awards that you've picked up over the years. I wanted to jump to Jake Alderson's award this year and the Z People Awards. Is this a regular thing where you'll support your staff in putting themselves forward for these awards?
The training is a key part of what we do. We do not want to have an industry populated by, old guys in their 60s. Sorry, we need young people coming through. We need people to go and see, and that's people who've grown up with playing with devices and tablets and these sorts of things, to go and say there is actually something interesting about the construction industry. So we try and encourage, and through programs bring on the likes of Jake and a lot of others. We do things like we take all of our young employees, we take them to a boot camp out the back of Rotorua where they live in dormitory accommodation, and they get trained by both in-house people but also external inspirational characters as well will come down there and try and help these guys say, look, you can be, the biggest thing is these guys need to be told that they can be good, they can excel, and that then trying to give them some of the skills so they can safely do these things and contribute to our industry. So growing young people is a key part of where we are and where we need to be to have a sustainable business, and Jake is just a really fine example of that.
Sounds like a fantastic environment for growth. Can you tell us a little bit about Jake and about the work that he does?
Jake came to us as about 6 years ago, and I think he was the youngest guy in our Auckland branch. I mean, a bright guy, but he was never going to pursue an academic career, and he just started out on machinery. Now he's progressed that he's a foreman grader operator at the age of, I think, just 24 now, but he just does great work, takes real pride in what he does, and is, again, just an inspiration to other people there in just work on some of our major roading contracts in the Auckland region.
Putting yourself forward for an award is one thing, winning it is another. What does a win do for an individual like Jake?
I think it provides the encouragement that he's on the right track. People go and look at him and say, you're the award winner, and that will then allow him to sort of grow further in the organisation, just become more promotable. People get just attracted to more training and other ways. So you can move, right from the bottom up. And we've had people in our business that have gone from grader operator to actually running some of our largest branches just by being good, by caring, by having that recognised. And you'll keep on climbing that ladder. And as people do climb that ladder in this industry, training is provided in a number of different ways to go and give them the skills to go and occupy that next rung. And then when they're good at that, more training, more promotion. So a person can start, from a low level. If they've got that drive, that desire to go and take responsibility and solve problems, that person can go a long way in this industry.
Welcome to Higgins. We are a company with a proud history that spans 60 years, and we need new people to fulfill our mission. Our mission is simple. We want to be the very best road construction and maintenance business in the industry. And as a new member of our team, you are now part of the effort to achieve this mission.
We have an exciting future. Higgins is one of the leading road infrastructure companies in New Zealand. Our people are key to our success. At Higgins, we employ team players, people who work well together, who thrive on a challenge, people we can trust and who share our set of values.
Higgins is built on a strong set of family values, which have been the cornerstone of success over the last 60 years. We live and breathe these values every day.
Starting from the bottom, working hard, working smart, taking responsibility, you can go all the way in this business.
Absolutely wonderful that Jake Alderson picked up this award. It must have been a proud moment for yourself and for Higgins.
Very proud moment for us. Most importantly for his family, though, they've got somebody you all want to see all your children succeed, and through this, by putting Jake in the right place, giving these opportunities, he's been able to make a success and point him down the path for future success as well. So big success and big congratulations to Jake and his family. But of course, as Higgins, we're enormously proud of him as well.
That's very cool. I just want to say a huge congratulations once again to Jake Alderson, the winner of the Z Training Development Award for 2018 at the National Conference. Talking about youth and talking about opportunity, if a school leaver came to you today and said, Mike, I'm interested in the industry or I'm thinking about this industry, what would you do? How would you counsel them?
What I do is actually first off understand if they just want to be one of the crowd or if they actually want to make a difference. If they want to go and work hard, if they want to go and care, and if they want to have a role in an organisation or in an industry that is actually helping a lot of people and doing really fun things. Now, not everybody wants to have fun, not everybody wants to work hard, not everybody really wants to do some of the work which we do, but there are a lot of people out there when they see what we do, the technology that we play around with, and the things which we're able to do. And I can take my family round and show my children, things that I built when I was younger. It gives me enormous pride. My great-grandfather was in civil engineering as well, building dams. And I always remember these family trips to go and say, this is what Granddad built. Now, he was just an engineer, he didn't do it all, but this is what we can do. We're actually leaving legacies, we're leaving markers. This is what we have done. You can show your friends, you can be proud of what you achieved rather than just another spreadsheet completed or a whatever. We can have fun and we can leave some milestones of what we've achieved over our careers.
I think that's a phenomenally passionate way to view the industry. My heart was swelling with pride as you were talking about it as well. Absolutely fantastic. It's been absolutely brilliant having you here for the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here in the studio. We've been speaking with Mike Mannion, Business Development Manager for Higgins. Next week, we'll be talking around two very tightly interwoven elements of the contracting industry, tendering and procurement. To do so, we'll be talking with our representatives from Clever Buying and from Plan A. Looking forward very much to having your company. Then we'll see you soon. I'm Greg Ward. This is Spotlight on Civil Contracting.